Egypt, and which allows the responsibility to be transferred to someone who was chosen by the people in the next presidential elections. And I would like to say very honestly, regardless of the current circumstances, I would like to say that I wasn't intending of being a candidate for the next presidential elections. I have had enough. A lot of years have passed while I have served Egypt and served the Egyptian people. However, now I am very keen and intent on ending my political efforts, my political life for the sake of the country, and I will end this in a way which provides for the peaceful transfer of authority.
Hi, this is Final here. That was Mubarak, the previous president of Egypt, who is declining because he says that he no longer wants to be involved in the politics because the times are being too difficult, and after 60 some odd years he no longer wants to take care of the turd bowl that he has stewed up. Now he's basically saying that he doesn't think it's his fault, and there are several happenings that he wants to help push an investigation towards, which is all fine and dandy. He even wants his son to become to replace him, to become the next president. But really, everything that he said in that speech was just to cover his own butt. He doesn't want anybody to see what's going on inside his pants. That he's taking a dump all over his own country, that he's been doing that, and they all know it. That's why there's so many riots. He's basically been making Egypt poor. Stealing basically 40 to 70 billions of dollars, hiding them in US, UK, Switzerland, France, Dubai banks. And he was selling gas to Israel with less than 25% off market price. That sort of thing made the Arabs hate the Egyptians. And Egypt hated its own policies. Right now, they're on the lead towards controversy and civil war. And with Egypt having such a clean record, the military doesn't want to start killing people, because then civil war will just happen. It'll be instant after having such a clean record, and that's what he's referring to as a clean record. And he's really saying that I've had a clean record, and I'm not going to be around when everybody's going crazy like this. They're not going to let him be president again, basically. The people are standing up. He hasn't been democratic. He's been a totalitarian. He's been a ruler. He's been one person do everything. And he's been handling all their money and such. And this really goes way back. I mean, the controversy with Israel even goes back to 1973 when Egypt kicked Israel's butt and went ahead and signed a peace agreement to end all the fighting. And the squabble between the regular common folk never really stopped. Even though they signed a peace treaty, there were still people from Israel coming over and killing Egyptians. And one of the things that scares Egypt the most is if they do have any sort of civil war, they're afraid that Israel's big population of like 90 million people and huge armies might just stomp in and try to take it all over. And so now the Egyptians are revolting against the Mubarak system, against the system that he's created. I mean, this is what's going on in their streets. It's really crazy. Look at this. Okay, keep watching. Look at that. He's just like running people over. I'm just trying to run them out of the way at least. Here you have them just trying to repel the police force. Police force on one side and people on the other. And when all this started in places like Cairo, he went ahead and right away, he stopped all internet, mobile, satellites, any sort of documentation that was going on. He would arrest the BBC, the CNN, the TV agents, all of it. And he closed up international human rights offices all over, just constantly pushing back protesters. Because the people are ready to go in there and kill him. On January 28th, it's really crazy on a Friday that 300 protesters died and over 3,000 were injured. But in the end, they actually pushed back the police completely without a single bullet being fired. So what did Mubarak go ahead and do? He went ahead and opened up. He went ahead and took back all the people, all of his police officers off the streets, and he opened up the jails, let them go ahead and do all their looting. And then when he was declining from presidency, he was saying, "Oh, well, I don't know how all those prisoners got out and all that looting started, but I want to start a watch program or something to try to investigate how it happened. And I can't be president while this is happening," basically, he was saying. And he appointed the vice president to take everything to take care of. And now that the protesters want democracy and freedom, we can go ahead, the Americans can go ahead and back them. They're protesting a lot of things that they want. They're right off the bat, Mubarak must go. I mean, come on, the guy, that's not even questionable. But there's a lot of laws that they want to change too, like the ability to arrest anyone by decree of the president they think is ridiculous. They want it to be more democratic, and they want to re-elect a new parliament. They want new people. They're tired of all these old representatives that are chosen by Mubarak. They don't want what he's been using as informative groups. And at first we wanted to support Mubarak because he's an ally. We've been allies with Egypt for a long time, and we thought Mubarak could handle it. But it just goes to show that we're on any winning side, basically, because we don't want to get attacked. And because coming up with ideas is our strong suit, a lot of protesters are expecting Americans to try to find a solution. What's that about? I read about this guy who was thinking, oh, the Americans will come up with something. I'm like, what? Which actually makes it, on our part, very hypocritical that we're even supporting their cause now, because before we were trying to help facilitate and just sort of help Mubarak through trying to stop the revolution. And since he couldn't get enough muscle, he had to do something like let out all the prisoners. He actually hired secret police and hired secret criminals to like professionals, people who have been institutionalized or put in jail for murdering and such, and taking hits on people's head, hitmen. He sent those people to personally destroy an Egyptian museum that had like all these ancient antiques that were valuable, worth millions of dollars. And that's only a small part of the revolution that started in Tunisia that further went over to Egypt. And will probably continue into all the Arab countries. I mean, a lot of these Arab countries, these small countries, they're weak countries because big countries like Egypt and America and other like UK are taking all their resources. It's not just us and us Americans that are over there supplying troops and forces that we don't need, money that we don't need to waste. This will move over into the weaker Arab countries. Because the revolution right now, the protesters, they're everybody in the all the civilians. They're the Muslims, the Christians, liberal, socialist. It's the biggest civil protest in history. I mean, come on, look at it. It's like 10% of the population. That little clip I showed you was only a small part. Now imagine that over the entire country. They're not just middle-aged working people, they're the young people, the old people. Everybody's joined. Students, taxi drivers. People aren't working. People aren't going to school. Everybody's in these large mobs of protesting. Someone's got to stand up and take the position. And it might become like Cuba, where someone will just promise anything to the people and they'll give it to him because he said so, and he'll end up being just as bad. In which civil war, I don't even want to imagine. But these Egyptians have suffered under a representative regime for a long, long time. And now Europe's getting involved because 80% of Europe's oil comes from Libya's oil. And they're actually against all this violence and protesting. Looking at it from a sophisticated response, they feel that they should be taking a more subtle way to protest change. As it stands, the hospitals are running out of material. It's becoming increasingly difficult to even take care of all the bodies, which is why Libyan government representatives are trying to cover everything up and say that a lot of it's being exaggerated, that the media is hyping it, that there's a lot less going on inside the country than people think. And Libya is not like Egypt. That's true. In Libya, people are getting shot. The protesters that are getting killed aren't getting ran over. And the people in Egypt aren't even reporting that people are being taken to the hospitals. And this rising violence, it's just horrifying how it's just reaching over to Yemen and that Bahrain. It's going all over the place. It's heading for civil war, as Gaddafi's son is saying in his rallies. And I really think the protesters need to step away from everything and rather just keep pushing at the gates. Go ahead and set up your own thing. Do everything yourself. Go separate. And then, once you have a plan and you have an ideal, you'll be sort of taking over your country again. But it's better than this.